What's up, guys? So we're back here for part 7 of the 5-speed conversion on my 94 Legacy wagon here. Today I'm going to try to get as much as I can done. I got a bunch of stuff I got to do. I already got the speedo cable hooked up. One thing I want to do is mess with my dash and get... So I have this giant hole right here, so I want to put this cubby I got right here in, just to take up some of that space. I also need to look at my voltmeter that I installed in the dash right there to figure out why it's not working. There's a few other things I need to do. The biggest thing we're still waiting on is the wheel bearings, so I'm going to figure out exactly how many splines the axles I have are, so I know when I buy new hubs for the wheel bearings that they're the right ones. We'll just have to go from there. I just confirmed it. These axles I got are the exact same as the 2002 WRX. This is the front one and this is the rear one. The front one is 27 splines on the wheel side and 25 splines on the transmission side, and the rear is 24 on the hub side and 25 on the rear diff side. So that's good news, because that means I can buy hubs for an 02 WRX and possibly wheel bearings as well, and I can put those together and have brand new wheels and brand new wheel bearings. So those are the spindles down there that I got to rebuild, but yeah, that's good news. That means the part should be easily available. So, alright, so I got my inlet on my turbo. Pretty much everything is all hooked up and ready to go. I just put the radiator fans back in, so they're all bolted in, and I plugged them in, ready to go. I just put my overflow tank in as well, so this thing will stop leaking coolant all over the damn place. And also, I didn't really film this because, I mean, it's kind of boring, but I got the cubby all installed, so looks a whole lot nicer. Okay, so right now we're going to focus on some wiring. The first thing we need to wire up is we need to make a jumper for the little connector in here, so it'll let us take the key out. The little connector right there is this white one, so that's the wire right here that comes from the shift selector, and it basically just connects the two whenever the car is in park. So I cut that off, and this is it right here. And then you just need to connect the two middle wires together with a crimp connector like this. I'm going to put some electrical tape on it. And then you just put that into the connector down here, this white one, and it'll let you take the key out. And then next will be reverse light wiring. Okay, so I got this all kind of taped up here. I don't know if you can even see it. But I just put the connector in so it connects those two wires, and I can tuck that in there. And now it lets me take the key out. So that's really all there is to it. Okay, so if you saw me talk about the reverse light wiring in one of my previous videos, I was mistaken, and it's not this connector that we need to modify. It's actually the shift selector right here. So these two right here, which are the bottom two on the far left side, are 9 and 10, and so these two will connect to the transmission's reverse light switch. So when you put it into reverse, it'll connect the two, and the reverse lights come on. So I just pulled these out of the harness, and then I'm going to attach these to the wiring harness on the 5-speed. So I'm not going to be running a neutral switch. Most people will probably want to run one, but it's just for my personal reasons I don't want to have one. So if you do want to run one, it's these two. It's 11 and 12. This next tube right here, and so you just connect these to whatever clutch, neutral switch sensor you have for your car. Okay, so this is what the connector looks like on the 5-speed transmission. So if you look at it this way, this part right here, this little notch is on the top. So that's how you can tell this is 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And so we need to take the two right ones, which is the green one with the yellow stripe and the all black one, it looks like, and connect those to the two wires on the harness that's for the shift selector. So in the meantime, Forrest is putting together another 5-speed, because the last one, the synchro, his second gear is pretty much gone, and I think he's still driving on it. So we're gonna probably seal this one up tonight. We're making a video on how to put one of these together, but these are the internals out of an Outback 5-speed that we got for free. That was also 411, so it worked out pretty good. All right, so I got everything all connected. There's almost no way to see in there, but I used just some spade connectors on a fuse, so it should be good now. So we're gonna test it here. Connect the battery. Hand me my keys. So pop in here. And we got reverse lights. Okay, so I just got back from O'Reilly's. These are the wheel bearings I got. So I'm pretty sure these are the front and these are the rear. So you can see the part number here. These are for an 02 WRX. So these will match the spindles I got. So this is kind of what they look like. It's kind of weird. The ones I got for the rear are a little bit different. One of them is like a newer style, so I'm thinking this side is like, this one's like a roller bearing style, and this one is like a needle bearing style, which is supposed to be a little bit more reliable, I think. This one has like the center ring that holds it together while you press it into the hub, and the other one doesn't have that. So not really sure, but other than that, they're identical. So we're gonna go to my brother's work and press these back together, and we'll come back and we should be able to put them on. So I also got 5 quarts of this Master Pro 7590 gear oil. It's full synthetic, and I get a discount on it with my my shop card we use. So hopefully 5 quarts is enough. I think the transmission takes about 4. And maybe a little bit more than 4, and the diff takes about 1 and 1.5. I don't know. So I might have to buy one more, but we'll see. So right now I'm gonna hook up these 2 wires out of this extra. This is the other transmission harness that was just dangling down here that I didn't need. These 2 wires right here on the top are both switched 12-volt power. So I'm gonna use some connectors and run wires into the cabin so I can hook up the light on my boost gauge and also my voltmeter. Alright, so we just got back from my brother's work. We can't really film in there because it's a Subaru dealership, so we got these all put back together. Got my new studs in, brand new wheel bearings inside there. We did make one mistake on the rear, where we didn't put the backing plates back on before we pressed the hub into the wheel bearing, so we had to take it back apart, put this backing plate back on, and then put it all back together again, and we ended up ruining one of the seals on the back. So you got another one, and then the actual wheel bearing itself kind of got a little bit warped, and so we were able to kind of put it back together, but so this is the one that was fine. But this one might make a little bit of noise. It spins totally freely and everything, but I think it lost some grease, so it might make some noise. But we're gonna put those on and see how they fit up. I got brand new ball joints to go in them, so I'm gonna throw these in with some anti-seize, and then I can put the front ones on. Okay, so I just put some anti-seize in there, so I should be able to just kind of pop this in. Tighten this down, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, and then I can put it in there. So first I'm gonna throw the axle in because it's kind of hard to line it all up. if you don't do that first. So we just gotta put it in here, and then there's a little pin that goes through the axle and through the thing in there to hold it in place. So I'm gonna do that real quick. So these holes, one side's bigger than the other, so it's pretty obvious how it goes on. Like that. And I'm gonna knock this pin in there with a hammer. Okay, so I just got that pin knocked in there. That should be good. It's nice and solid. Okay, so we're gonna add a little anti-seize to the axle here, just to make sure it's easy to come off next time we take it off. We don't want this rusting in here, and it can definitely seize in place, and that's no fun. So I'm just gonna put a liberal amount of anti-seize on here, probably too much, but I don't really care. Now we're gonna have to push the control arm down a little more. Oh shit.
I don't want to be wearing singles.
Alright. Pulling it through now. Okay, so this side's done. I just had to use the nut here to pull the axle all the way through. We still need to tighten this down. I'm probably going to do that with the wheel on the ground and take the center cap out of the actual wheel. So, because this has to be torqued like over 100 foot-pounds. I'm not sure what it is. So I'm going to get started on the other side. Tighten up these strut bolts and put a nut on the ball joint at the bottom and hook up the tie rod. Alright, so we're making some progress. I got this one in. It's in the diff over there. This one is pretty much all good to go. I just kind of put the wheel on here to just test fit it to see what it's going to look like. Yeah, let me take this off real quick. Okay, so you can see this one. It's pretty much all put together. We just put the caliper on first, and then you slide the pads into the top, and there's these little sliders right here. You put those through that way, and then there's like a little spring here that just kind of holds it in place. One thing I noticed is these 17s I got, these MSRs, have enough back spacing to where I don't even need to use this spacer. So it was kind of pointless to put these extended studs in there after all, because it turned out that, I mean, I didn't know what the back set or the offset was on these wheels. So if I were to put a 16-inch wheel, like a 16-inch stock Subaru wheel, I'll need these. So if I have some snow tires or something, I could just use these, and I could put a stock 16-inch wheel on here. But I'm not sure if I'm actually going to use this spacer at all, just because I'm worried about, you know, the fender and everything rubbing. So right now I'm working on this side. So I just popped the axle in on this side. These are like the WRX style axle, so there's no pin to go in. It has like the axle has a male end, so you put that in there and you kind of use this as like a jackhammer to kind of like knock it into the diff, and it has a little ring that pops in. So I'm gonna put some anti-seize on this, and I can put that spindle on. But yeah, it's coming together pretty good. So we fucked up again. We put the bolt in through the spindle here before we put the backing plate on, so we can't get it out. So now we got to cut it off. Luckily I have another one. Alright, so I've been working on getting all this stuff put together. I didn't film much of it because it's pretty boring. You know, it's just putting these bolts in for the struts and lower control arms. I just got the e-brakes put together. I believe we showed how to do this before in a previous video, but it's just some springs to hold the shoes on. It's pretty simple. I already showed the fronts are ready to go. I got this one pretty much all put together. I need to bend this backing plate out so it doesn't touch really, but I got the new pads in there. I mean, these things are so easy to change pads. You put the caliper on first, and then you slip the pads in on each side, and then there's these two rods here and then like a little clip on the back. So like, it's really easy. It just went together really fast. We got this side all put together as well, so I can I can take the new rotors I got here. Finally put these on. There you go. Look at that. Nice. So one thing that's really weird is once I got these all in here, it's really hard to turn the actual wheels. So I'm not sure if it's tough because of the diff doesn't have any fluid in it, or because the wheel bearings are brand new and they've never been like broken in. It's really weird. It's going to make it really hard to adjust the e-brake and figure out like where it grabs, because it's already super freaking hard to turn. So because when I turn it, you can actually see the driveline and everything's turning, so it's working, but I'm not sure why it's so stiff. So now I'm gonna throw the new pads in these rear rotors here, the 2 pots for the rear. I just took this little spring out right there, and just take these rods out, and this little spring perch that holds them together, and these should slide out to the top. Yep. And so these pads are actually totally fine. Like, they're like brand new, a lot of them. So I mean, I'm going to use the ceramic ones I got with my brake kit, but I'm definitely going to save those for future use. So yeah, you got to put the caliper on it with no pads first, and then we can slip the pads in from the top. So before I throw the pads and everything in, I just got to see what this is going to look like. So I'm just putting the lug nut in here real quick to just hold it in place so I can see, because I'm really curious. Yeah, it's going to have quite the poke. Not sure if I'm going to have rubbing issues. I'm probably definitely going to have to roll the fenders. But I'm really liking the way that's going to look. Alright, so we got pretty much all the brakes and everything on. We're just going through and doing a bolt check, making sure everything's tight. Got this side all together now, tie rods on, ball joints on at the bottom. All the brake lines should be tight, so we can start bleeding the brakes. Forrest is just double checking these suspension bolts and everything on the back. So hopefully I have enough brake fluid. Alright, so this is a bit of a bummer. This StopTech braided brake line I got is defective. We were trying to go through and bleed all the brakes, and they all worked fine, except for this one is completely seized for some reason. I can't even blow through it with my mouth. And these are name brand StopTech. This shouldn't be. I shouldn't fucking have any problems with this shit, but the hard lines are fine. It's just this thing is fucking seized. So I contacted the seller, and I'm trying to see if they can possibly ship me out a new one. But pretty much everything's on. The brakes and all the suspension's done. E-brake set up. At this point, all that's really left is to put the downpipe on, and like the mid pipe and exhaust and stuff, and put the intercooler on. And then, you know, we can try to start it and get everything actually running. But I think we're probably going to end this video here. I try not to make these too long, and this is going to be way too long already. So next week we will finish the brake lines, finish bleeding them, get the intercooler on and the exhaust, and hopefully take it for a test drive. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.